Hello and welcome to vlog number 20. Hard to believe that it's been a week, only a week, since I last recorded one of these intros, because what a week it's been in the world. I don't want to go too much into it because this is a hobby vlog and it's not a current events vlog, but the changes that society has gone under and that we're all having to cope with since last Sunday even are just beyond comprehension. It feels like a bad dream. So I hope all of you are keeping safe and healthy out there and are hobbying to keep yourselves and your spirits up. That is what I've tried to do this week and I hope to continue doing. But yeah, crazy times. I'll stop muttering now and go back to the beginning of the week, and then I'll be back at the end of this. I don't know how long it's going to be. I can't even think. This week has been so crazy I can't even remember what's happened in it really. So I'm going to watch these videos with as much interest as you are, hopefully. Thank you for watching and I'll see you again in a short while. So an update on the temple and some progress that's been going on. I haven't been filming all of this because otherwise it would end up being hugely stupidly long because it's such a big build. But I've made a lot of progress on the snake pit, as you can see. If that focuses, yes it does now. So we've got most of the brickwork, most of the stonework done. I've got the detailing of the snakes inside and the little door which is here and some of the metal work to do, and also the teeth, which I'll do with Vallejo. I've got it here, Vallejo Ivory, in case you're interested. And the way that I've done most of that so far was a spray of what ended up being quite a gloss spray paint. I believe it was beige. And then I've put Agrat's Earthshade, heavy wash of Agrat's Earthshade over the lot of it, and that's how it's come out. And it's actually come out a lot better than I feared it might. The other thing that I've made progress on are the Guardian statues. So these are lizard men from Reaper, and I've done those also with washes. So with a green wash from Vallejo and a mix of Agrax and Nuln Oil as well from Games Workshop. I've still got the swords to do, which I'm going to do in a metallic, but they're looking really nice. The other snakes that I had, miniature snakes, have also been done in the same technique using washes. This one with the red wash, I can never remember the name of it, from Games Workshop, and then the entirety of it with an Agrax Earthshade wash over the top to bring it down. And these are very early stages of this process and just done with the Agrax Earthshade, so they're coming on really nicely. The other thing is I've opened this which is humongous and will be sitting on top of the temple somewhere. I haven't worked out where yet, but I'm going to need to get that washed and painted up as well. And finally, and I'm sorry I'm turning away from the camera so much, I have all this stacked up on the bench behind me, I have made myself a tongue. So this will be jutting out from the wall, and then the altar will go here, and this will then jut out over the edge. And I will now point the camera down and show you, sat on the floor at the moment, but that's how it is, show you what the actual main structure is like. So there you can see the current state of 3/4 of the build. So I have put the lower drawer in, and I've also glued 2 of the teeth in place. Now the tongue, which I just showed you, which I will now bring over, will go roughly here. Now I'll be fastening that in place and painting that up. I think I'm going to paint that before I fasten it in place, but that's where that's going to go, and it's going to be like a dirty red colour. The other thing to point out, which I will flash in front of the camera but won't really mean much, is I have actually cut out the wood for the roof so I can start on the final large construction now. And finally, with a quick pan up and left, you can see that I am in the process of painting up the other bit of the second story, or the first floor, whatever you want to call it. That's got the first coat of my Africa colour on it. You'll need another coat to go on as well, but you can see that that now is really coming on as well. So we're pushing forwards well on this. There's still a long way to go, but We're not as far off as we were before the last video was the last time I shot a clip, so a lot of progress has gone on in the background. Tuesday game night is a thing again. This evening we are going to have a game of Battle Companies, which I'm very excited about. I'm up here at the moment, I'm just lighting the fire because it's a bit chilly. It's been a beautiful day, but it's quite cool, so I'm lighting the fire so later on we have warmth in the room. And you can see in front of you the table that I've set out to play the first narrative scenario, Skirmish in Brie, where Angela's Battle Company, that you can see here, which are dwarves, are going to take on 12 ruffians, which you can see over there, and which I painted up previously, and I believe some of those are on the channel. I'll link to any videos which I may or may not have done, I can't remember right now. So yeah, I've got some terrain which I've made for the channel, which you can probably identify on the table, quite a lot of it, and it looks like a brilliant table. It's going to be quite hard, it's quite full, but for smaller model counts I think that's better. So anyway, I just thought I'd do a quick video for this while I wait for that fire to catch, and I will try and get back on camera at the end to report on what happened. So that was a lot of fun. It was a good fight in the end. It was actually quite close. My ruffians, I was playing the baddies, my ruffians managed to knock out a few of the dwarven escapees from Lurin Durins, the battle company that Angela is fighting. However, she kept her eye on the prize and managed to escape with most of her, well, 50% of the battle company or over, which meant she got a win. And then, yeah, we're moving on. So we're only going to do that this evening. We'll come back and I'll play my battle company next time against Angela with the ruffians. But a lot of fun was had, and we made use of the Battle Company's manager by Pat, and that was very successful. So thank you very much, Pat, for that. I will be back with another short update on the Battle Company's campaign the next time we play. Here we have a pile of temple, and I'm now about to start sticking in some of the more decorative pieces. For example, the two Guardian Snake Men and the Snake Pit. So I'm going to get that done and dusted. I'm debating at the moment whether I'm going to do the grout treatment over the whole thing or not, but before I do that I also am going to paint all of the statues with the same colour base, I've decided. And then what I'll do is, if I do the grout, or even if I don't do the grout, I'll probably do a dry brush of a lighter colour to highlight them and bring them out. But that's what there's 4 there. There's another one at the back. So that's all of it at the moment. As you can see, I have stuck on the snakes on the second floor, which is what these are, and the one behind also has them, so that's all done. So right now it's going to be a case of putting the snake pit on, putting the guardian snakes and the other snake ones. I have the tongue, but I'm not going to stick that on yet because that will be being done, well, it'll go here, and that will be delayed by my decision as to whether I'm going to do the base, do the floor, everything in with the grout. So I will be back a little later on to show you what it looks like with all of these elements in. That was a lot of snakes. I've done the first coat, and I think I've decided that I am going to do the grout because I want the contrast a little better, and also I just think it's going to be nicer to have it a slightly lighter colour with maybe this nice purpley sandy colour for the snakes. So what you can see here is the upper levels. What's left to do on these, I need to decide if I'm going to put snakes over every single one of these archways. I might do some of them, I might do all of them, I haven't decided yet. I need to do the windows, which I haven't yet fully decided how I'm going to do, but potentially will be made out of card with snake shapes cut into them, but I haven't yet bottomed that out in my head. I also need to do the lip that will go around the top of each of these walls so that the roof can sit on it and not slide off. That is the same lip as I've done on the ground floor, which I'll show you in a second, because I'll turn the camera around in a bit and show you that. And then if I am going to do the grout, then I need to paint the grout on. But I'm not far off. I mean, that's a lot of stuff to do. They're big builds, but they're coming on really well. So what I'll do now is I'll turn the camera around and point it at the other bench behind the camera and show you the other 2 sections of the temple. So here we are, here is the ground floor, and what you can see is that the courtyard has the 2 guardians, and they are stuck in place, they are glued in place now. You can also just see that the snake pit is in there, but I'll shift the camera in a short while and show you that at the end of this video. But first of all, what you can see is all of the snakes are painted, including the snakes inside above the doorways, and this is the lip that I was mentioning about just now. If you'd forgotten what that was, that's there so that each level can actually sit and stick. So that's actually probably the next thing to do on the second floor. If we rotate the camera slightly here, you can see the other one, and again I've done the same. I've painted all of these, but what I've also done is the snake tongue has got its first decoration on it. It will be going here, and it has its a snake at the far end, which is what I want to do. This will probably have a lot more decoration in it, and one thing I'm aware of is each of the rooms is quite bare at the moment, so there might be some more stuff to be doing inside, but all of that will happen after I've done the grout, if I'm going to do it. So to complete this little section, what I'll do is I will move the camera slightly and show off the snake pit and how the porch, well, the porch, that's a bleed from real life, how the courtyard, the entrance courtyard looks. Well, there we are. There's the entrance courtyard. You can see the two guardian statues. And zooming in, there is my very awesome snake pit. I'm very pleased with it. Really pleased with it indeed. Snakes look good. The teeth look good, and the little flamey things look pretty good as well. So there we are. It's really coming on now. We are coming towards the end of March, well, coming towards the end of the middle of March, so I've got to push on and get this finished before the challenge isn't required. That means that I also have to do the roof with the humongous snake statue on it, but yeah, I'm having ideas about that all the time as well, so I'm sure that you'll see that on a clip coming to you soon. I've been conducting a lot of experiments in the last day or so, working out exactly how I'm going to be applying this grout, and at first I had quite a lot of problems, that it wasn't working as well as I wanted it to, and I thought maybe I'd just throw the whole idea away, but this morning I think I've cracked it. So let me show you the process I'll go through on this. First of all, I'm taking the grout and I'm sieving it through my finest sieve into a container, which is a bit boring, but if you can see, the grout is actually quite lumpy. Now this could be because it's old grout, it has been on the shelf for a little while, and maybe it got a bit damp, and so it's actually kind of turned into lumps, but I'm not sure. But anyway, I would advise doing this if you find that you have lumpy grout. If your grout is very smooth, then you can skip this step. So I'm going to carry on with this, sieve this through into my container, and then I will show you the next step in a second. For you, for me, in a while. I'm making this up in small batches, so what I will now do is I'll take my sifted grout, and I'm going to put 3 heaped teaspoons, like these plastic spoons, into this mixing bowl. Okay, as you see there, and then we will seal that up. Done. Now we get the next 2 ingredients, which is PVA and water. So what I will do, sorry, arm across, that was careless. What I will do is I'll put a dribble of water in, not too much, and I'll put a lot more PVA in than I did water at this stage. There we are. And then I get to stirring, which is always the fun part when you're working with grout, as it's hydrophobic and it doesn't seem to want to stir. So I have a knife, and I just stir and stir and stir and stir and stir and stir and stir until it turns into a paste. If you need a little bit more water, put a little bit more water in, and I think I do, but very, very little. You need very little water for this mix. That's one of the mistakes I made early on, was just putting too much water in. There we are. As you can see, with the correct quantity of glue and water, it actually mixes up quite easily. Now we go to the next ingredient. This is the sifted soil from my back bank, which I collected for Rosie's Hobbit Hole and worked so well. And it actually works really well for this build also. So I'm going to take 2 heaped teaspoons, not 3, and that's my quantity for this. And put that in, and then seal it up. Don't want to drop that. And then I'll mix that in. And again, you might find you need to add a little bit more water because it might get a bit claggy. At this stage, the water is just going to help you to actually do the application with the paintbrush. So make it a little bit looser, which will make it a bit more easy for you to spread. And there you are. Let's go over to the model and start applying it. Now here you can see my badly applied version from before, and you can see why I was getting a little bit disappointed with myself. What we're going to do is just use a cheap builder's brush, decorator's brush, and brush it on, and it works like a dream. Looks like sandstone, doesn't it? So there we are. That is how I've worked out how to use grout with dirt and PVA to produce something which is not only going to give it the correct finish that I'm looking for, but also provide a certain level of toughness to the model as well. So it'll act as a harder layer than paint. So I'm going to continue this process, mixing up batches and painting it on, mixing up batches and painting it on. I don't want to do 2 big batches because I may have to stop and then it will go off and then it'll be waste. And also, it's not the most exciting of jobs and I've got other things I'm getting on with. But I thought I'd show you that. It's worked really well. I'm very pleased and quite relieved because I thought that my idea wasn't going to work. But it just goes to show, keep trying, keep learning, keep practicing. So a little more progress to show you. I've put the rim around the edge of this top half. I've not done the other top half because I am currently waiting for the upper jaw, which is this, it's going to be that way around, to dry. I've glued the, as you can see, still not completely dry, glued the upper fangs on, and that will go above the lower jaw and point down. So when that's dry, I'll glue that in and start painting it and then do the surround. I probably should have done that earlier, but yeah, that's good. So yeah, progress is being made. I've also done quite a lot more of the painting on of the mix of grout and dirt, and that's looking really good on all of the pieces, actually, on all the levels. So yeah, I will be back to show you what it looks like hopefully very soon, because it's now entering the last 10 days of the month. So yeah, got to crack on. So the next steps on this is to put some more paint on it. Now what I've done since the last video is I've actually put a little bit more reinforcement, as you can see, just along the outside of each of the edges, just to make it a bit stronger. But that's pretty much what you saw before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my dark brown and I'm going to paint over the rest of that, and then I'll glue them in place, and then these builds are done. So I'll be back to show you that when they're completed. In an epic session yesterday evening, I got this glued on, and I got all of the filler put in as well. So now what I'm going to do is paint on the purpley kind of undercoat, this undercoat. So I'll get that done. The other thing that happened last night, if I just do my very careful pan and then zoom, a bit wibbly, is I put the surround on that level there. So that also will now be being painted. I will show you what it looks like when it is done. And so we come to the final few processes on this build. I probably will put some green and some flock onto the roofs, and that will probably be the final thing. But first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the door in place, which I've made. So I've got one door that's open, if you remember, and I've got one door that's shut. So we'll just put some PVA on that and then slide that in onto this one. And slide in is the operative word. Now the issue with this is it is going to stick out, so it might be quite fiddly or might get damaged. But anyway, that's that. Leave that to dry. Hopefully that won't get damaged too much. The second thing is that the two little kind of like covers over the centre have been done, and they're looking pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue them in place how they are now, 90 degrees across from the front door, and then I'm going to think about whether I'm going to put any supports in. But for now I'm just going to put them in place because I think that's going to be enough. And also, this has been dragging on. This build should have been done weeks ago. So bit of PVA and stick them in place, and that should be good. That's that. And then the same again on this one. Bit of PVA and stick them in place. So I will let those to dry and then come back to them as soon as possible to do the final touches so that I can actually wrap this build up. A little more PVA maybe, actually. Make it a little more of a drawing. So there we are. I will leave them to dry, and like I say, I probably will support them somewhat, but PVA is a pretty good glue when it comes to it, and I'm pretty careful of my terrain when I'm using it, so I think that'll be fine. But I would like to potentially show you how I would make that a little more secure, but we'll leave it like that. I will be back on this build very soon just to do those final few steps. I ordered another couple of these moulds which arrived last week, and this is one of them, and this little wriggly worm one is the other one. These come with this little kind of like sad face on, which is not really very kind of like sort of thing I'd expect to find in a temple. So what I've done is I've cut those heads off, because upright with the heads cut off they actually fit perfectly over these windows that are looking down into the holy place. So what I'm going to be able to do is stick probably 3 across, 1, 2, 3, which is just out of sight over here. So stick 3 of these across like so, standing on their tails, and they will act as bars over the walls. This, I'm not sure where I'm going to put it. I really like it. I think it's wicked, but it might end up being not inside the temple but outside the temple in another place. But I'm very pleased that I picked that one up as well, because it is pretty cool. So I'm going to get on with sticking these in, and going to have to cast 3 more because I need 3 on each side. And yeah, I will show you what that looks like when I can. I can't show you at the moment because that bit is actually very, very wet with paint at the moment, because I've only just put some paint on it about 15-20 minutes ago. So there we are, a short but sweet one today. It does feel like about a year since last week, and I think I'm going to sign off just by saying don't feel isolated out there. I know there's this social distancing thing and people are having to work from home. I've worked from home for the past 6 years, so it's not a huge change for me, but there are great communities out there of hobbyists and gamers, and lots of people who are pulling together. I'm seeing the best come out in people, not the worst. And one of the things that I've become involved in as part of the Discord group for Neil's Real Terrain Hobbies, you can check out whichever side of this, there's a link to his channel. Go and check it out, he's amazing. He runs a Discord channel, and one of the guys on there had an idea that we should do a community build, which we're going to do, and it's going to be open to everyone. It's not just people on that Discord, and I will be making a video about that at some point soon, and maybe some other YouTubers will as well. But those sorts of things that people are putting together, so don't feel isolated. Keep your hobbying, and let's get through this together and come out the other side to a better, brighter future. And that's all I can think of to say about that. So please pop any comments you have below. I'd love to hear from you. Again, that social distancing thing doesn't mean that you have to disconnect from people on the internet, thankfully. And yeah, if you're not yet subscribed, please do click that button below, and don't forget to ding the bell, because then you will be told whenever one of my videos goes live. I do 3 a week at the moment. I'm probably going to stick to that routine. I have a lot of other things going on, but there are 3 videos a week. This one on the Sunday, Tuesdays is another longer one, and then Thursdays is normally my one for beginners, or odds and sods, as I would call it. What I will do is I will raise my, again, freshly made, so very, very hot cup of tea in your general direction, and thank you very much for watching Beard Clipper, and I'll look forward to seeing you in another video very soon. Cheers.